Ash was trained to obey, particularly in perilous situations. However, as firefighters retreated from the collapsing apartment complex, he performed an unexpected act, broke free, and sprinted directly into the flames. All around, people yelled for him to halt, but when his handler, Alex Reed, pursued him and observed where the dog had led, the entire fire ground became still. What did Ash unearth from under the rubble, prompting even experienced firefighters to retreat? Please subscribe and leave a comment below, letting us know your location. Now let's begin. The search and rescue dog halted at a pile of rubble, remaining still despite the firefighters' instructions to exit the burning building. "Get your dog out of there," the chief demanded, until the animal began frantically digging through the debris. The entire rescue team was stunned when they uncovered what was hidden beneath. Before we begin today's story, please leave a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. If you enjoy remarkable dog stories like this one, be sure to click the subscribe button. You're going to want to see what's next. The first alarm shattered the quiet at Westside Fire Station 12 as dawn broke over the city. Firefighter Alex Reed quickly woke from his brief rest in the break room, his training kicking in as he put on his gear. The dispatcher's voice broke through the speakers, conveying clear urgency. "All units, please respond to 1400 Oakwood Terrace. Apartment complex fire, multiple floors involved, with possible entrapments reported." Alex's hands moved with practiced efficiency, securing each strap and buckle as Chief Martinez issued orders across the bay. Then, as he prepared himself, his eyes sought out his partner. Ash, a 4-year-old Belgian Malinois with intelligent amber eyes, was already alert, his muscular body tensed in anticipation. The search and rescue dog displayed no uncertainty, unlike the humans nearby. He showed only focus and readiness. "Ash, gear up," Alex called, and the dog immediately trotted to where his specialized vest hung. The reflective harness displayed the marks of 3 years of service, small burns, tears mended with careful stitches, and patches replaced following difficult rescues. Each mark represented stories of lives saved and perils confronted together. As Engine 12 started, Alex secured Ash in the rescue vehicle. Captain Jenkins looked back from the driver's seat, his aged face serious. Dispatch stated the situation was critical. It involved a 5-story complex. The fire began on the 2nd floor, but flames were now visible from 3 sides. From his position, Alex already observed a column of thick black smoke rising against the dawn sky, creating an ominous silhouette against the awakening city. A familiar tension tightened his chest. It wasn't fear, but the focusing edge of adrenaline that sharpened his senses. Beside him, Ash's breathing remained steady. His eyes remained fixed forward, as if he could already see the task ahead. They rounded the final corner onto Oakwood Terrace, and the disaster revealed itself. The Ridgewood Apartments, housing over 50 families, had become a rapidly spreading fire. Flames were visible from the windows on the 2nd and 3rd floors, climbing upward with alarming speed. Outside, residents stood in night clothes, some wrapped in blankets, others in stunned silence as they observed their homes burning. Chief Martinez was establishing command as Alex exited the truck with Ash at his heels. Engine 12, initiate water supply. Ladder 7, east side evacuation. Reed, prepare Ash. Verify missing persons on floors 3 and 4. Alex swiftly knelt beside Ash, ensuring the proper fit of his protective booties and specialized respirator mask designed to filter smoke particles. "Ready to save lives, buddy?" he asked, looking into those intelligent eyes that displayed only determination. Ash responded with a single, focused bark, their established routine before entering any fire scene. Firefighting operations proceeded with disciplined urgency surrounding them. Water lines stretched across the pavement, ladder trucks were positioned strategically, and teams of firefighters moved with purpose. However, for Alex and Ash, the focus narrowed to a single mission: to locate those unable to escape. The stairwell was a chimney of heat and smoke as they ascended. Alex kept one hand on the railing and the other on Ash's specialized lead, although the dog required little guidance. Amidst the disarray of fire alarms and flames engulfing the building, Ash moved with a determination that appeared almost unreal to those unfamiliar with search dogs in action. Fourth floor first, Alex instructed through his mask, his words barely discernible above the din of the emergency. 3 years prior, Alex couldn't have envisioned this partnership. Following the loss of his previous search dog, Max, in a warehouse collapse, he had vowed to discontinue working with the canine division. The guilt remained intense, the memories too difficult. He'd moved to regular firefighting responsibilities, resolved to protect his heart from further connections. Then came the shelter visit that altered everything. Ash had been found abandoned in a foreclosed home, severely malnourished, but still full of life. Something in the dog's steadfast gaze broke through Alex's carefully built barriers. The shelter worker had said this one knew what it meant to be trapped, and to be found. Now, as they reached the 4th floor, that same determined spirit guided Ash through conditions that would have disoriented most humans. The smoke was so thick that Alex's flashlight created more glare than illumination, but Ash navigated confidently, his nose working through his specialized mask to filter scents from the smoke. Alex shouted, initiating the standard call, though it was likely futile against the fire's roar. But protocol dictated it. Ash suddenly veered left, heading toward apartment 403. The door was closed, but intensely hot, suggesting a fire inside. Alex signaled Ash to retreat, then breached the door using his halogen tool. A surge of heat and black smoke poured out, briefly pushing them back, but Ash quickly regained his focus, guiding Alex through the confusing darkness of what had previously been a family living room. Fire department, is anyone here? Alex repeated, scanning the area with his thermal imaging camera. The furniture was now completely ablaze, transforming the apartment into a labyrinth of flames. Ash emitted a sharp, warning sound and pulled them toward a bedroom door. Alex followed, relying on his partner's senses more than the restricted view his equipment offered. Upon reaching the door, he discovered it was stuck, likely due to heat distortion or an obstruction within. Step back, Ash, he instructed, then forcefully impacted his shoulder against the door several times until it yielded. The bedroom was not as heavily engulfed in flames, but was filled with dangerous smoke. 3 small figures were huddled together on the floor, in the corner farthest from the door. A woman held 2 children, and all were unconscious. I've got victims in 403, Alex reported over his radio, already moving toward the family. The mother and 2 children were unresponsive. Time felt compressed into a series of urgent actions. Alex checked for pulses, all were present but weak. He briefly placed his own mask over each child, allowing them a few seconds of pure oxygen before resuming his own breathing. Using practiced motions, he lifted the smaller child onto his left shoulder and instructed Ash to secure the specially designed pull sleeve on the second child's pajamas, a rescue method they had refined through numerous training exercises. Carrying the mother proved too difficult while also handling the child and the dog, but further firefighters were already en route to his call. 2 members of Ladder 7 emerged from the smoke, appearing like figures in their protective gear. I've got the mother, one stated, already lifting her. You get the kids out. The return trip through the burning apartment was a perilous path, filled with falling debris and rapidly spreading flames. Ash didn't pause, keeping a steady hold on the child's pull sleeve as he moved through the disorder. This was when his preparation proved valuable, the skill to resolve an issue on his own while still obeying Alex's instructions. They arrived at the stairwell just as a portion of the ceiling fell behind them, sending sparks showering over their backs. The children were starting to awaken, a positive indication, but the building was failing quickly. Move! Move! Alex implored, addressing both his human co-workers and to Ash. Descending the staircase proved quicker but riskier than climbing up, as the fire had weakened the building's structure. At last, they emerged through the exit into the comparatively secure staging area, where paramedics were present. Alex released the children into the care of the medical staff, observing as oxygen masks were placed over their faces. Ash loosened his hold on the pole sleeve only when Alex gave the command, then stood watch nearby as the medical team worked. The radio crackled with new urgency. All interior teams, be advised, we have reports of an elderly couple still missing in 312. Anyone available to check? Alex met Ash's gaze, who appeared completely unfazed by the ordeal they'd just survived. Despite the heat and exertion, the dogs stood ready, awaiting the next command. Rescue 4 responding, Alex reported, Reed and Ash heading to the third floor. This was their established pattern, their objective, a recurring sequence of risk and rescue that characterized their partnership. They returned toward the burning building with minimal pause, taking only a quick drink of water each, unswayed by the flames now visible from nearly every window. The third floor presented a devastated scene of fallen ceiling tiles, shattered glass, and flame-damaged furniture. The building's sprinkler system had activated, but was clearly inadequate, creating a disturbing imitation of rainfall that transformed the smoke into a hazardous mist instead of suppressing the fire. 312 should be to the right, Alex muttered, primarily to himself as Ash headed in that direction. The heat pressed against them, a palpable force, straining the boundaries of both man and dog's protective gear. Alex's thermal sensors indicated excessively high ambient temperatures. Time was limited before the environment became unsustainable. Ash halted outside apartment 312, his posture indicating a heightened state of readiness. The door was already ajar, probably due to previous evacuation efforts. Alex pushed it open further, and his halogen tool illuminated an apartment beginning to be engulfed by fire. Fire department. Shout out. Unexpectedly, a weak voice responded from within. Help, we are here. Bathroom. Without being told, Ash moved towards where the voice originated. There, they discovered an elderly man kneeling beside the bathtub, his wife lying unconscious, a damp towel covering her face in a frantic effort to reduce the smoke. With assistance from further firefighters, who arrived promptly, they safely evacuated the elderly couple through a fire escape, coinciding with that part of the building exhibiting signs of potential collapse. Almost immediately after Alex's boots made contact with the concrete, a loud groaning signaled the partial collapse of the building's eastern section, exactly where they had been only moments before. All personnel accounted for? Chief Martinez's voice resonated over the radios and throughout the staging area. A rapid series of confirmations then followed as team leaders checked the safety of their team members. Alex examined Ash carefully, using familiar motions to check for any hidden injuries. Finding none, he took off the dog's breathing mask, allowing Ash to breathe easily in the comparatively fresh air outside. You did well, buddy, he said softly, offering water from a specialized bottle. Really well. Chief Martinez arrived, his face covered in soot under his helmet. You and Ash take 15. Position yourself on the southwest corner with Engine 3. We will be taking a defensive posture around the entire structure. The building is too severely damaged to allow for any additional entries. Alex acknowledged, appreciating the short break. He led Ash to the rehabilitation station where Dr. Chun, the department veterinarian, was already present, having been summoned for the significant incident. Let me see him, Dr. Chun stated, quickly assessing Ash's respiratory rate and inspecting his paws for burns. He is exhibiting mild heat stress, but it is not serious. Ensure he remains hydrated and in the shade for at least 15 minutes. All residents accounted for? Alex asked a nearby officer who was updating the incident board. As far as we can tell, she replied, checking her clipboard. The building manager confirmed all apartments evacuated or searched, 17 to hospital, no confirmed fatalities. Alex felt the familiar mixture of exhaustion and relief that came with a successful evacuation. He turned to tell Ash the good news, but noticed the dog's behavior had shifted dramatically. The easygoing stance of a working dog, enjoying a deserved rest, had vanished. Instead, Ash stood stiffly, ears pricked, eyes locked on the burning building with an intensity Alex readily understood. Ash, what is it? He asked, instantly aware of the change. The dog whined, a sound seldom heard from the trained rescue animal, and advanced several steps toward the burning building before glancing back at Alex with unmistakable urgency. There's no one else in there, buddy, Alex said, attempting to reassure him. We got everyone out. Yet, even as he spoke, a chilling sense of foreboding arose within him. In 3 years of partnership, he had never once seen Ash incorrect regarding a possible victim. Should the dog suspect someone was still present, then someone was, irrespective of the official headcount. Ash barked sharply, the sound piercing the noise of the fire scene. Subsequently, the bark was more insistent. "Whoa, settle him down," advised Lieutenant Wilson, who had been assigned temporary handling duties, while Alex prepared to join the exterior firefighting efforts. "He's likely just reacting to all the stimulation." Wilson attempted to grasp Ash's leash, but the dog retreated, barking with rising intensity, his gaze fixed on the burning building. "Something's wrong," Alex stated, already reaching for his equipment. "He doesn't act like this. Never." Before Wilson could retrieve the leash, Ash reacted, propelling himself forward with such unexpected power that the clasp securing his harness to the lead broke apart. Within a moment, the rescue dog was sprinting across the fire ground, maneuvering between firefighters and equipment with unwavering focus. "Ash!" Alex yelled, a wave of dread washing over him as he observed his partner heading toward the structure, completely consumed by fire. "Ash, stop!" But the dog had already moved through a ground-floor entrance, disappearing into the smoke and flames without pause. "Mayday! Mayday!" Alex shouted into his radio, already heading for his equipment. "Canine officer has re-entered the building. East entrance, ground floor." The response was immediate and incredulous. "Say again, Reed." "Your dog went back in," they stated. Alex was quickly attaching his oxygen tank, skipping standard checks due to his urgency. "Affirmative. Ash has re-entered. He's detecting something, suggesting someone might still be inside." "Negative on re-entry, Reed." Chief Martinez's immediate order came. "The building is structurally compromised. I repeat, do not enter that building." Despite the urgency, Alex's hands remained steady as he fastened his mask and helmet. 3 years of partnership, hundreds of hours of training, and dozens of live rescues had instilled in him a fundamental understanding. Ash never erred concerning victims. If the dog indicated someone was present, then someone was there. Official headcounts were irrelevant. "With respect, Chief," Alex responded, already moving toward the building. "My partner is inside, and he has located something. I'm entering the structure." "Reed, stand down." Martinez's voice boomed, reaching both the radio and the staging area, as he noticed Alex's action. "That is a direct order." For a fleeting instant, Alex paused, 15 years of trained obedience clashing with the firm belief that his partner required his help. Then, a recollection surfaced. Max, his initial partner, had been lost because Alex had obeyed a withdrawal command instead of following the dog's intuition. "I cannot, sir," he responded succinctly, and he entered the smoke. The building's interior was almost unrecognizable compared to just 20 minutes prior. What had been a hazardous but passable structure was now a scene of collapsed ceilings, burning furniture, and structural beams dangling overhead. The temperature had climbed to levels straining his protective gear. The air was so intensely hot that each breath felt like inhaling fire despite his SCBA. "Alex," called, his voice muffled by his mask and the constant roar of the fire. "Ash." Navigating by memory and instinct, he pushed toward where apartment 104 should be, the direction Ash had headed. Visibility was near zero, forcing him to stay low and move by feel as much as sight. His thermal imaging camera showed little beyond an overwhelming field of heat signatures from the fire itself. A partial ceiling collapse compelled him to withdraw briefly, locating an alternative passage through what had previously served as a first-floor community room. The ticking clock was a significant challenge, not only due to the increasingly hazardous building conditions but also because of his dwindling air supply. His tank indicated he had approximately 15 minutes remaining before he would be compelled to retreat or risk suffocation. "Bark if you hear me, Ash," he called out, hoping the instruction would prompt a reply he could track. Initially, there was only the chaotic noise of a collapsing building. Then, a distinct bark echoed from within, and Alex focused on the sound, advancing with determination. After 3 minutes of cautious movement, he reached a corridor unfamiliar to him. Fallen support beams had broken through the ceiling, forming a dangerous path of burning wreckage. The temperature was exceptionally high, and the faceplate of his mask was exhibiting clear signs of heat stress. Another bark, closer now, directed him onward. Finally, through a haze of smoke, Alex observed a recognizable figure. Ash, partially hidden by scattered wreckage, yet undeniably alive and working with considerable urgency. Ash, thank God! Alex exhaled, swiftly approaching to reach his comrade. What he discovered stunned him utterly. Ash surveyed a large accumulation of rubble, seemingly from a collapsed interior wall and ceiling. The dog was digging and pulling at the debris, stopping briefly to look back at Alex with a desperate, urgent expression. Someone was trapped beneath. Alex knelt beside Ash, working quickly to move the debris that had so agitated the dog. Good boy, he said, even as his gloved hands tore at shattered drywall and splintered wood. Show me, Ash. Show me where. Ash increased his efforts in a particular area, his nose working tirelessly despite the dense smoke. Alex concentrated his efforts there as well, disregarding the precarious sounds of the building around them and the decreasing air pressure indicated on his gauge. Almost overlooking it when his glove brushed against an unexpected object, Ash's urgent calls redirected his focus. Working with urgency, Alex cleared more debris and located what Ash had identified. A human hand, small and delicate, was visible beneath the rubble. With a racing heart, he checked the wrist, hoping for a sign that seemed unlikely given the circumstances, and felt it a pulse, faint but discernible. I've got a victim, he announced into his radio. Adrenaline flooded his system, causing his voice to waver. First floor, east corridor under collapse. Victim is alive. Repeat, live victim. With painstaking effort, he removed more of the wreckage, exposing more of the person trapped, a teenage girl who was unconscious but alive. Her face was partially shielded by what looked like a bathroom door that had fallen at an angle over her. Hang on, he murmured, knowing she couldn't hear him. We're going to get you out. The scene was intensely difficult. He could now see her clearly. However, substantial portions of wall and ceiling still held her lower body. Moving the victim without the right tools created a risk of additional injury or a potential destabilization of the entire collapse section. A loud groaning from above signaled a possible further collapse. Simultaneously, his air gauge indicated a 5-minute warning. He faced difficult decisions. Remain with the victim and risk all three of them being buried, or leave to seek assistance, with the possibility of returning to find the girl crushed by a subsequent collapse. The choice was made for him when Ash abruptly stiffened, ears pointed towards the hallway. Shortly after, the welcome appearance of 2 firefighters in full gear appeared from the smoke. Over here, Alex called, a wave of relief washing over him. We have a live victim. The RIT team reacted swiftly, evaluating the situation with practiced efficiency. We need to reinforce this before extraction, the leader decided. Hansen, retrieve the portable stabilizers from your pack. Collaborating, the 3 firefighters meticulously placed emergency bracing to avoid additional collapse while they rescued the trapped girl. Ash remained nearby, his presence offering an unusual sense of reassurance within the chaotic scene, as he persistently monitored the girl. On 3, the RIT leader instructed when they were prepared. 1, 2, 3. They raised the heaviest piece of debris jointly, enabling the second team member to swiftly extract the girl. Alex quickly rechecked her vitals. She was still alive, though her breathing was shallow and labored. Let's move now, the leader ordered. This whole section is going to collapse any second. Alex scooped the girl into his arms while the RIT members gathered their equipment. She was lighter than expected, likely no more than 15 or 16 years old. Her right leg was at an unusual angle, clearly broken, and a jagged piece of glass had become lodged in her shoulder. Although she sustained injuries, smoke inhalation presented the most pressing danger to her. Guided by Ash, they commenced their withdrawal through the burning structure. The dog's search and rescue training, now focused on locating an escape route, proved invaluable, a skill that had previously saved numerous lives, including those of fellow firefighters, facing swiftly evolving circumstances. As they retreated, the ceiling collapsed entirely, unleashing a wave of dust and debris that pursued them along the corridor. The building was nearing the end of its structural failure, complete collapse now unavoidable. Alex's air supply emitted its last alert sound as they neared what had previously been the building's primary entrance. His vision was starting to narrow, potentially due to lack of oxygen or intense fatigue, but he would not release his grip on the girl. Ash remained slightly ahead, finding a path through the smoke with remarkable accuracy. Following what felt like an endless amount of time, a rectangular area of lighter gray emerged within the pervasive black smoke, signifying the exit. Alex, using his remaining strength, advanced forward, with Ash providing steadfast guidance during those essential final steps. They broke through the doorway into the comparatively brighter environment outside. They emerged through a dense cloud of smoke, just as another portion of the building crumbled behind them with a deafening crash. The shift from the inferno to the open air was startling, from a deafening roar to the organized chaos of the command area. For a moment, Alex simply stood there, the unconscious girl cradled in his arms, Ash pressed against his leg. All three of them appeared as living sculptures of ash and exhaustion. "We need a medic," someone shouted, and suddenly they were surrounded by paramedics, hands reaching for the girl, voices overlapping in a rapid assessment. A female adolescent, approximately 15 to 16 years of age, Alex reported as he gently transferred her to the waiting gurney. She was found unconscious, with shallow breathing, a weak but present pulse, a fractured right femur, and a laceration to her left shoulder with embedded glass. Probable smoke inhalation was also noted. While preparations were underway to transfer the girl to the ambulance, Alex observed something held in her hand, a small silver locket, its chain wrapped firmly around her fingers, seemingly the most valuable thing she possessed. "Wait," he stated, indicating it, "ensure that remains with her. Could be significant." Only then did Alex permit himself to be directed towards the medical assessment area, Ash walking with a slight limp beside him. Dr. Chun went directly to examine the dog, while another paramedic urged Alex to sit down and accept oxygen. A second-degree burn was observed on his left flank, Dr. Chun reported, carefully cleaning the injury. Minor burns were present on all four paw pads, even with the boots. He is severely dehydrated and showing signs of smoke inhalation, but his condition is not critical. "Both of you need treatment," stated Chief Martinez, whose voice was stern, as he arrived amidst the organized chaos of the scene. His face held a complex blend of anger and satisfaction. "Sir, I can explain," Alex started, but Martinez interrupted. "You disregarded instructions, put yourself and the RIT team at risk, and broke established procedures," he said, adding, "all of which we will review once medical personnel confirm you are both stable." His expression eased a little. Was Ash correct? The girl? Was she at the location he specified? Alex confirmed the precise location, buried beneath collapsed debris within the former apartment 104. Conventional search and rescue efforts would not have led us to her. 2 weeks later, Alex and Ash were at Westside Fire Station 12 for an event that had been presented as a modest acknowledgement of their actions. The station's apparatus bay had been decorated with department flags and arranged with rows of chairs intended for city officials, emergency services representatives, and members of the media. While the mayor presented citations for extraordinary service, the station doors opened, revealing unexpected guests, Thomas and Jennifer Harmon, and notably, their daughter, Lily. The teenager moved carefully, using crutches. Her broken leg was encased in a cast adorned with numerous signatures. "We heard about today's recognition," Thomas said. Lily emphasized her desire to be present. The teenager approached Ash, who remained in a formal seated posture, but couldn't hide a subtle tail wag indicating he recognized her. "The doctors say I can return to school next week," Lily told Alex. "I still need physical therapy for my leg, but my lungs are almost completely recovered." She awkwardly lowered herself despite using her crutches to be at the dog's eye level. "I brought something for you," she said, reaching into her pocket. She crafted a miniature replica of her grandmother's silver locket, designed to fit on a dog's collar. "It's not the original," she clarified. "That remains with me, but I wanted Ash to have something as well." She looked at Alex. "Would it be all right to fasten it to his collar?" With deliberate movements, Lily secured the small silver locket to Ash's collar. "Now you'll always have a reminder of the life you saved." Subsequently, while traversing the well-known hallways of Station 12, Captain Jenkins approached them. "Welcome back, you two. Ready to get to work?" Alex looked down at Ash, who responded with that characteristic look of complete preparedness, the working dog's version of excitement restrained by training. "Yes, sir," Alex replied, experiencing a sense of completeness for the first time since their experience. "We're ready." Have you ever observed an animal detect something that humans entirely overlooked? It's striking how their instincts can occasionally detect dangers that remain unnoticed by our presumed advanced senses. What action would you have taken if you were in Alex's position? Would you have trusted your partner's instincts enough to risk everything? If you've ever developed a special connection with an animal, you know that communication extends beyond commands and training. Has a pet or working animal ever surprised you with their intelligence in a critical moment? If today's story resonated with you, please click the like button to assist us in reaching a wider audience of animal enthusiasts. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more captivating canine narratives and tap the notification bell to stay informed about our latest uploads. Kindly share this video with friends and family who admire the incredible skills of working dogs. Be sure to view our additional stories about brave dogs currently playing, including the remarkable account of a tracking dog who located a lost Alzheimer's patient during a blizzard. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, with another brand new video. The tracking dog abruptly halted at the forest's boundary, his fur bristling and a low growl emanating from his chest. "Shadow, what is it?" Sergeant Morgan inquired, securing her hold on the leash. Shortly after, they located the old house situated deep within the woods, a place where no house ought to exist, but what they found inside instilled a chilling dread. What precisely did they unearth in that neglected location? Please subscribe and leave a comment below, letting us know your location. Let's get started. Kate Morgan was loading equipment into her department SUV as dawn approached. She watched with concern as Shadow, her Belgian Malinois partner, paced anxiously beside the vehicle. Usually the dog would wait calmly during preparations, but today his strong body stayed rigid, shifting between gentle movements and focused looks at the nearby forest. At 34, Sergeant Morgan had become Pinewood County's leading search expert. Shadow, possessing his advanced certification and abilities in tracking and cadaver detection, had made them the department's preferred team for missing persons cases. The call had arrived after midnight. Jason Reeves, age 27, was missing after failing to return from his day hike on Blackwater Ridge Trail. The first search team found no sign of him in the darkness. Sheriff Donovan arrived with the rest of the team, his face showing worry. "Morning, Kate. The weather report indicates rain by afternoon. We have roughly 6 hours before conditions worsen." Kate nodded, making sure her equipment was secure. "We'll find him." Donovan observed the dog's agitated state. "What's got Shadow so worked up?" he asked. "I'm not sure," she replied. "He has been like this since they arrived." She scratched behind Shadow's ears. "Focus up, partner." But as the team gathered for briefing, Kate couldn't shake the feeling that Shadow's agitation wasn't merely pre-search excitement. In their 3 years together, she learned to read his signals, and this behavior felt different, almost like a warning. Blackwater Ridge stretched across the northeastern corner of Pinewood County like a jagged spine, dense forests climbing into mist-shrouded peaks. The search team gathered at the trailhead, where Jason Reeves's blue Subaru was parked. Kate swiftly organized the team while unloading Shadow. Deputy Torres and Chun would take the South Fork. Harrison and Lopez were to check the ravine. The sheriff and I would follow Shadow on the main trail. Kate presented Shadow with Jason's navy fleece from a sealed bag. The Malinois inhaled deeply, transitioning to work mode, though Kate observed the remaining tension in his posture. She firmly instructed, securing his tracking lead. After 20 minutes near a small footbridge, Shadow abruptly halted, his body becoming rigid as he analyzed the air instead of the ground. "What's he onto?" Donovan inquired. Rather than proceeding across the bridge, Shadow abruptly turned to the right, drawing Kate towards an embankment. 50 yards away was a forest green backpack, swiftly recognized as Jason's, containing his wallet and phone. The trail continued in that direction. Donovan indicated along the creek bed, where crushed plants indicated recent activity. Shadow hesitated to proceed, stubbornly pulling toward the apparently untouched forest. "Shadow, find," Kate repeated, attempting to guide him. The Malinois emitted a whine, pulling with unusual force, a behavior Kate had never observed during a search. "Your dog seems disoriented," Deputy Torres commented. "The path is clearly alongside the water." Kate observed Shadow's concentrated gaze. "I'm going with Shadow." A sense of unease settled over him regarding the creek trail. "We should split up," Torres proposed. "No," Kate stated decisively. "If someone is intentionally leading us astray, separating could create a risk." She addressed Donovan. "Sheriff, I request your confidence. 3 years with Shadow indicate we must follow his guidance." Donovan acknowledged. "We will follow the dog." "Torres, please note this location and communicate with the other teams. We will keep in touch via radio." Shadow took the lead as Kate and Donovan advanced further into the forest, moving away from marked trails and into a wilderness seldom visited by recreational hikers. The ground became more challenging the farther they strayed from known paths. Thick pine and old fir trees formed a natural maze, their large trunks limiting visibility to less than 20 yards. "We're traveling northwest now," Donovan observed, consulting his GPS. "There are no recorded trails in this area." This was old-growth forest, untouched by logging. After 30 minutes of consistent hiking, Shadow halted at the foot of a sharp ridge, his ears twitching as he analyzed the scents carried on the breeze. Suddenly, he bolted forward with such momentum that Kate briefly stumbled. "Shadow, easy," she called, reasserting control of the lead. The dog had stopped at a seemingly neglected path, running across the ridge face. "Service road," Donovan stated, bending down to inspect the packed soil hidden by the plants. "An old one, not listed on any maps we have now." As they proceeded down the neglected service road, Kate experienced a rising sense of disquiet. The woods appeared to press in on them, the overhead branches becoming denser until only infrequent beams of light reached the ground. "This section was harvested in the 1920s, Donovan clarified, ending the quiet. Company archives document a minor worker settlement, consisting of impermanent buildings intended to be vacated upon the end of operations. Shadow guided them around a pronounced curve in the aged road and abruptly halted, his posture tense with focus. Kate tracked his line of sight and felt her breathing shorten. Situated within a compact clearing was a 2-story house, its time-worn, clapboard facade darkened by age and moisture. Rather than the crumbling ruin one could anticipate following a century of abandonment, the structure seemed mostly complete, with some sagging areas, dark and empty windows, but fundamentally stable. "That's not a logging camp shack," Kate stated softly. "No," Donovan concurred, his hand moving naturally to his sidearm. "That's someone's homestead, and it shouldn't be here." The house stood before them, its aged exterior showing the marks of many seasons. As she approached, Kate observed details previously hidden from afar: intricate Victorian-style trim around the eaves, though much of it was decayed, and vestiges of what had undoubtedly been a graceful wraparound porch, now partially collapsed at one corner. "Sheriff's Department," she announced. "We are conducting a search for a missing hiker. Anyone inside, please identify yourself." Only silence responded. The forest sounds appeared subdued around the property, fostering an unsettling quiet that prickled the skin on Kate's arms. "I'm seeing recent footprints," Donovan observed, indicating clear marks in the yielding ground close to the porch steps. "Multiple sets, some arriving, some departing." Kate bent down to study a well-defined print. "This matches the tread pattern from Jason's hiking boots, based on the girlfriend's description. He was certainly here." Adhering to the established procedures for entering potentially occupied buildings during search operations, Donovan drew his service weapon, maintaining a safe downward-pointing position. He repeated, "Sheriff's Department. We are entering to search the premises." The front door emitted a concerning creak as Donovan pushed it open. The interior was dimly lit, the scant daylight that penetrated through the cloudy, undamaged windows illuminated a foyer characterized by peeling wallpaper and a dust-covered wooden floor. Remarkably, the furniture was still present. A discolored mirror leaned askew on one wall, and a former elegant side table sat beneath it, its surface covered in debris. The air inside was chilly and damp, carrying the stale odor of prolonged desertion combined with something else, something less definable, something more recent. Shadow moved carefully into the foyer, his nose working constantly, head turning to register each room extending from the central space. Deviating from his typical approach, he appeared hesitant to move forward, remaining uncommonly near Kate. Living room clear, Donovan stated, inspecting the initial doorway on their right. The connected dining room and kitchen also displayed indications of emptiness, although nothing presented an immediate cause for worry, simply decades of dust, dislodged plaster, and the minor remnants left by wildlife seeking refuge. Kate noticed someone had been present, observing the kitchen table's relatively clean spots where dust had been recently moved, and noting an empty modern water bottle in one corner. Their attention then shifted to a door located beneath the main staircase, which is when Shadow's demeanor changed significantly. The Malinois halted suddenly, his body becoming rigid as he focused on the closed door. A low growl emanated from his throat. Basement access, Donovan stated softly. Kate observed a detail overlooked during their first search. Tiny symbols were etched into the door frame, abstract designs that seemed intentional, not mere random damage. Comparable markings were present on the floor at the threshold, subtle lines scratched into the aged wood. These are new, she stated, bending down to inspect them, and they're all around the door, almost as if, like a boundary or a warning, Donovan concluded. Shadow's growl intensified, his gaze firmly fixed on the basement door. Throughout 3 years of searches, building clearances, and tracking operations, Kate had never witnessed her partner exhibit such intense apprehension. Kate encountered Shadow during a difficult period in her career. Following 8 years in military police, including 2 deployments to Afghanistan, she joined the Pinewood County Sheriff's Department, anticipating a less demanding role. Her initial 2 years of service concluded with a tragic, unsuccessful attempt to locate a 4-year-old who had strayed from a campsite. The child's remains were discovered several days later, just half a mile from an area that had already been searched. This experience significantly damaged her self-assurance. Sheriff Donovan encouraged her to focus on growth instead of withdrawing, and he offered her a K-9 unit application. During training, she encountered a lean Belgian Malinois. The dog's evaluation noted high intelligence but difficulty in management, along with exceptional search aptitude and inconsistent responses to commands. The trainer stated that Shadow's intensity made him unsuitable for most handlers. Rescued from abuse at 10 months of age, the previous owner had employed harsh training techniques, essentially torture. Their partnership started with challenges. A significant turning point occurred during a night exercise when Kate fell and sustained a head injury. Instead of returning to base as instructed, Shadow remained with her throughout the night, subsequently leading her along the simplest route back, accommodating her uneven steps. Now, gazing at the basement door with its unusual markings, Kate remembered Fletcher's advice about heeding a dog's instincts even when the reason wasn't clear. Shadow wasn't simply providing an alert, he was conveying a particular message regarding what lay beyond that entrance. "I'm going to trust my partner," she told Donovan, placing her hand reassuringly on Shadow's back. "If he thinks there's something important down there, we need to find out what it is." The basement door resisted initially, then yielded with a groan of protesting hinges. Stale air surged upward, carrying the distinct mineral scent of underground spaces mixed with something less identifiable, a sharp, almost metallic undertone that made Kate's nose wrinkle. Donovan observed a temperature drop as noticeably colder air surrounded them. "Feels like 15 degrees cooler down there," he remarked. A narrow, wooden staircase led down into darkness. Kate turned on her tactical flashlight, the beam illuminating a dirt floor roughly 8 feet below. Shadow remained alert, but didn't show any eagerness to descend. This was unusual for a dog typically keen to lead the way during searches. The basement proved more expansive than Kate anticipated, stretching under the complete area of the house. Stone foundation walls upheld the structure above, with hand-hewn wooden pillars offering extra support at consistent intervals. In contrast to the comparatively undisturbed upper floor, the basement displayed indications of more recent use. "Someone has been using this space," Kate noted, aiming her light beam toward a contemporary camping lantern positioned on a weathered wooden crate. Close by, a sleeping bag was carefully rolled beside a small backpack. "Search team, this is Donovan," the sheriff spoke into his radio. We've located possible belongings of the missing hiker in an abandoned structure. Request additional units at our GPS coordinates. Only Static answered him. They systematically documented the scene, photographing the items with their phones. The backpack contained energy bars, a first aid kit, and a well-worn trail map of Blackwater Ridge with handwritten annotations. A notebook close at hand contained puzzling notes. The last one was dated the day Jason vanished. Returning inside today, assuming the stories about this location are accurate, I should possess evidence that cannot be questioned. Shadow, who had been examining the room's boundaries while staying near Kate, abruptly tensed, his focus fixed on the distant wall. Kate instantly understood his stance, the identical alert posture he adopted when locating concealed objects during evidence searches. Shadow informed Donovan, who had been studying markings on a support pillar. The wall that had attracted Shadow's attention seemed unremarkable initially, consisting of roughly hewn stone blocks. However, as Kate drew nearer, her flashlight illuminated slight variations in the mortar arrangement approximately halfway along its length. Working together, they scrutinized the wall section meticulously, ultimately finding a skillfully hidden device, a jutting stone that, when pushed in, disengaged a latch. Accompanied by a soft scraping noise, a portion of the wall, roughly 3 feet in width, swung inward, exposing a narrow passage on the other side. This passage led to a circular room, approximately 15 feet in diameter, with a floor of fitted stone slabs. The walls displayed faded inscriptions, unknown script, and elaborate geometric designs. A stone table, appearing like an altar and bearing a dark stain, was positioned in the center. 7 candles formed a perfect circle around it, 3 of which had recently been lit, showing soft wax. The items placed on the altar were particularly unsettling: a driver's license, watch, and cell phone Kate recognized from the missing person report. These were Jason's belongings, and she documented them with photographs, careful not to move anything. The question remained, where was he? Shadow's anxiety became apparent as he moved around the room. He moved toward the altar, then retreated, conflicted by his investigative training and an intense feeling of reluctance. Kate's flashlight wavered, then noticeably weakened. Donovan's did the same. A subtle hum resonated from the walls, intensifying until Kate felt it vibrating within her. The temperature dropped sharply, their exhaled breath appearing as frosty vapor. Shadow's actions changed significantly. He settled against Kate's legs, forming a protective posture, his gaze directed at an empty corner, his fur bristling. Rather than his usual forceful barking when facing danger, he remained quietly watchful. "We must leave," Kate stated, relying on Shadow's judgment. Immediately, as they moved back, Kate's weakening light revealed one last detail: a recently inscribed name etched into the altar's edge. Beneath those others faded with time: Jason Reeves. Upon exiting the concealed room, Donovan attempted to use his radio, but it only produced the same peculiar static. Kate examined her phone. There was no signal, and the battery had dropped from 85% to 17% during their short time in the basement. A gentle thud from the level above halted them at the foot of the staircase, followed by the clear sound of footsteps on aging, creaking floorboards. "Someone's up there," Kate murmured, drawing her sidearm. The missing hiker could be this person. The main floor seemed unoccupied as they carefully exited the basement. Daylight had faded considerably. Checking her watch, she realized they had been inside for fewer than 40 minutes, but the light suggested late afternoon, not midday. Shadow suddenly became alert, his focus drawn to a small secretary desk in the corner that they hadn't previously inspected closely. The roll top of the desk had been opened, showing a stack of leather-bound journals almost neatly arranged inside. The topmost volume lay open, its pages filled with handwritten text that seemed surprisingly new compared to the old paper. Kate studied the open page, feeling a sudden chill unrelated to the basement's dampness. The writing detailed names and dates of people who've disappeared in these woods. The journal entries originated in 1893 and were written at inconsistent intervals throughout the years. Certain names were accompanied by supplemental information, including ages, occupations, and details regarding disappearances. Kate identified several entries referencing unsolved missing persons cases she had become familiar with after joining the department. Particularly unsettling was the last entry, concerning Jason Reeves, which bore yesterday's date and a specific time. 3:17 p.m. Shadow abruptly growled, turning to confront the doorway. Moments passed, then a significant crash echoed from the upper floor, indicating furniture was being knocked over or displaced. Sheriff's Department, Donovan announced, approaching the foot of the central staircase. Identify yourself immediately. Only silence responded, accompanied by another crash, this time directly above them. Plaster dust drifted down from the ceiling. The staircase creaked under their cautious ascent, weapons drawn. The upper hallway split into 4 rooms, the doors showing different levels of damage. Shadow guided them toward the closest entrance, his carefulness apparent in each measured step. The bedroom inside looked untouched initially, featuring a 4-poster bed with a decaying mattress, a wardrobe against one wall, and faded curtains still present at the windows. Then Kate observed the wardrobe doors gradually opening, despite the absence of any breeze or disruption that might cause the movement. Deputy Chen's voice abruptly broke through their radios, startling them both. Sheriff, come in. We've been trying to reach you for over an hour. Donovan pressed his transmit button. Chun, we're inside a structure approximately 2 miles northwest of the backpack location. Possible evidence of the missing hiker found. Sir, we can barely read you. Signals breaking up. Do you need assistance? Affirmative. Track our GPS coordinates. Approach with caution. Kate went to the window, hoping to spot the approaching search team from afar. However, she stopped, stunned by the scene before her. The area around the house appeared altered. The forest seemed nearer, thicker, the trees leaning inward, as if the woods had somehow moved closer while they were inside. A floorboard groaned behind them, though neither had shifted. Shadow turned toward the noise, positioning himself between Kate and the vacant corner of the room. The temperature plummeted rapidly, their breath visible in the suddenly frigid air. As if to emphasize her statement, a door slammed somewhere down the hallway. Then another. The sound of footsteps, numbering more than one person could manage, reverberated from several directions at once. We retreated the way we had come, Donovan decided, moving toward the bedroom door, only to discover it was closed, despite neither of them having touched it. Kate grasped the doorknob, finding it intensely cold. The door rotated without obstruction, yet remained unyielding, as if a significant force held it back from the hallway. Donovan proposed examining the window, and immediately moved towards it. The old frame initially resisted his attempt to lift the sash, but then yielded with a scattering of paint chips and debris. A blast of cold rain rushed in, bringing with it the fragrance of damp soil and pine. Shadow's growl intensified, his attention still directed towards the apparently vacant corner of the room. Kate had grown accustomed to relying on her partner's instincts, especially when they sensed threats she couldn't identify. Whatever was in that corner registered as dangerous to the Malinois. Kate secured her sidearm and proceeded cautiously as a forceful impact rattled the bedroom door. The old wood fractured but remained intact. A second impact splintered the frame along one side. The fall to the ground outside was roughly 12 feet, negotiable but potentially hazardous. Kate descended from the sill, using her hands to lower herself and minimize the drop to the muddy earth below. She landed unevenly but sustained no injuries, quickly arranging herself to be in shadow. Donovan raised the Malinois, who appeared remarkably compliant with the handling, reinforcing Kate's sense that the dog detected significant danger within. Shadow permitted himself to be passed through the window, his 65 pounds of muscle momentarily suspended before Donovan released him to Kate below. Another crash originated from inside the bedroom, followed by Donovan's startled shout. Kate looked up to observe the sheriff struggling with the window sash, which had unexpectedly slammed down, nearly trapping his hands. "Something's got it," he called, straining against the seemingly immovable window. Shadow barked sharply, not an alert for danger, but his specific call for Kate's attention. The Malinois was focused on a point at the corner of the house, where weathered clapboards met in a seam that appeared to be separating unnaturally, revealing darkness beyond. "Sheriff, Another exit. Kate called up to Donovan. "Meet me at the front of the house." Kate drew her weapon again, using her flashlight to illuminate the darkened passage beyond the open doors. Rough-hewn stone steps descended into darkness. The air rising from below held the same metallic odor they'd noticed in the basement. Shadow seemed to want her to go down, but everything she's felt in the house cautioned against returning. The dog whimpered, scratching at the initial step, his eagerness unmistakable. "Kate," Donovan's voice called from somewhere near the front of the house. "Where are you?" Before she could respond, a loud crash echoed from inside the house, the clear sound of a structural failure. Dust puffed out from an upstairs window as a portion of the roof collapsed. Shadow's fur stood on end, a soft growl vibrating in his chest, aimed not at the cellar entrance behind them, but toward the sound of Donovan's voice. A chilling sense of conviction settled in Kate's stomach. "That's not the sheriff," she whispered, completely believing Shadow's judgment. The dog maintained its position, preventing anyone or anything from approaching from around the corner. Kate retreated towards the cellar entrance, keeping her weapon aimed at the side of the building. Shadow followed her, continuing his protective posture. The constricted tunnel stretched roughly 20 feet before leading into what seemed to be a mechanical room, containing antiquated, rusted machinery indicative of a coal furnace system from the house's initial construction. This area, in contrast to the basement they had explored previously, exhibited no indications of recent activity. A door on the distant wall likely linked to the main basement. Kate bypassed it, opting to follow Shadow toward a section of foundation wall that had partially collapsed. The Malinois readily passed through the opening, appearing outside into thick underbrush that had hidden this gap from view. "Sheriff Donovan, come in." Kate tried on her radio, but only received static. She trailed Shadow roughly 50 yards through thick foliage before daring to look back towards the house. Through openings in the trees, she observed its outline. The partially collapsed roof was now releasing smoke despite the heavy rain. Even more unsettling was the movement she noticed at several windows, with shadows moving across them, despite the fact that they had discovered no other people inside. "Kate," the authentic voice of Sheriff Donovan interrupted her focus on the house. He appeared from the trees to her right, soaked and muddied, but seemingly unharmed. "Thank God, I thought you were still inside." Shadow's reaction verified this was truly Donovan. The dog's posture softened, his tail giving a quick wag of recognition. "How did you escape?" Kate inquired, observing a bleeding cut along the sheriff's hairline. "The back staircase gave way while he was on it," he recounted, resulting in him ending up in some kind of root cellar. He found a storm door leading out, and then he paused, seemingly having difficulty expressing his experience. Something was present with him inside, not a person, at least not anymore. Shadow abruptly tensed, his focus returning to the house in the distance. Kate followed his gaze, observing what seemed to be several figures exiting the front door. They were obscured by the rain and fading light, but clearly advancing purposefully toward their position. "We need to go," she stated, her strategic mind rapidly assessing their choices. The primary objective was to extract safely and redirect backup teams away from the house. After 20 minutes of consistent travel, they arrived at the ridge line, offering a view of the valley where the house was situated. From their high vantage point, they observed several flashlight beams in the distance, indicating the search teams were closing in, following their last known coordinates. "We need to stop them before they reach the house," Donovan stated, attempting his radio once more. This time, Deputy Torres responded clearly. "Sheriff, we've been trying to reach you for hours." "Listen carefully," Donovan replied. "Do not approach the structure at these coordinates. I repeat, do not approach. We are maneuvering to block your team's advance from the ridge line north of your current location." Within an hour, they had successfully met up with the search teams and created a security zone half a mile from the house. As full darkness enveloped the forest, the decision was reached to pause operations until morning. The missing hiker, Jason Reeves, was still not found. A flickering light appeared through the trees, not a consistent beam from a flashlight, but the shifting appearance of flames. The house, despite the pouring rain, was now completely consumed by fire, the glow still visible from their location. 1 month later, Kate's office wall showcased an expanding array of photographs, maps, and notes linked by red string, representing her personal inquiry. Jason Reeves remained listed as missing with no new information. The formal search continued for 2 weeks, involving numerous agencies, cadaver dogs, and ground-penetrating radar covering 10 square miles. The search yielded no results, no body was discovered, nor any further evidence besides the peculiar house that had burned completely to its foundation before firefighters arrived. Kate attached a newspaper clipping from 1922 to her board, detailing the destruction of Old Blackwater House in a fire that claimed the lives of 7 members of the Thorne family. The article mentioned local beliefs that the property had been plagued by misfortune since it was built. Her phone rang. "Morgan, this is Torres. Regarding the research you asked for? 16 disappearances have been recorded within a 5-mile radius of Blackwater Ridge, a number 3 times higher than what's typically seen in comparable wilderness areas. Any patterns?" Kate inquired. The disappearances tend to occur in clusters of 3 or 4 individuals within a few months, followed by years of no further incidents. Has anyone ever been located? Only one person. A Forest Service worker was discovered wandering along Highway 16 3 months later in 1978. He had no recollection of his whereabouts and was malnourished, but sustained no other injuries. Following the phone call, Kate added the details to her board while Shadow stood beside her, his gaze fixed on the photograph of the house foundation. "What did you perceive there?" she inquired softly. Shadow immediately growled, his focus directed at the window where darkness now filled the view. Kate observed a fleeting movement in the tree line, the shadows seeming distorted. She swiftly lowered the blinds, spotting a manila envelope on the exterior windowsill, a package that couldn't be reached without a ladder from her second-floor office. A single photograph lay within, showing Jason Reeves positioned in front of the undamaged Blackwater house, his expression unreadable, bearing a timestamp 3 days following their investigation. Written on the reverse in elegant handwriting was the phrase, "The house always returns. So do we." Shadow brushed against her legs as a shiver traced its way down her spine. Outside, limbs scraped against the structure, sounding like searching fingers. For the first time in her professional life, Kate wished that certain enigmas would remain beyond resolution. Have you ever observed your pet responding to something imperceptible that prompted a feeling of unease? Animals demonstrate senses extending beyond human capabilities. They perceive frequencies beyond our hearing range, scent traces too subtle for us to notice, and possibly energies that science has yet to explain. What could your dog or cat be perceiving when they abruptly pause, focusing intensely on a vacant area of your home? Do you consider that some locations retain echoes of previous occurrences that certain perceptive animals are able to detect? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section. We are eager to read your stories. If this puzzling cold case gave you chills, remember to click the subscribe button and enable notifications to stay updated with our regular uploads about remarkable dog stories. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more unsolved mysteries, and share it with those who value the unique capabilities of our canine friends. Be sure to view our additional unexplained canine encounters currently displaying. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, with another brand new video that explores the remarkable world of working dogs and the mysteries they help us uncover.